Contractor Showdown is a VR battle royale that has a ton of unique weapons, but which one's the best? Today I will be ranking them on a tier list. I don't think anybody's ever done this before. It is very original. Nobody's done tier list. With all that aside, I'm going to start ranking. Starting with the pistols, as they're easily the worst weapons and something, people really just don't care about. First, I'll be talking about the M9A1 pistol. It's the one you spawn in with if you buy basic insurance, and it's overall alright. For the semi-auto pistols, there's nothing really crazy about it. I'm gonna give it a D tier. Damage, nope, not really much attachment slots, nothing you could really do with it. Next up is the K1911. Now, I personally like this over the M9A1. I think it's just a better version of it. Still not good. I wouldn't use it in any normal matches unless you have a quest for it, but still overall a little bit better. I'd give it around a C tier. Next up, we've got the Glock 18. Now, the Glock 18 is not even all that bad. It's got not very good recoil control and its damage is low, but its fire rate is crazy. So if you spam this, or maybe even like akimbo it, it could end up being pretty decent. Still, I don't think it's enough to push it very high above the 1911, so I'm just going to give it a higher C tier. And finally, for the pistols, we ended off with a Deagle. Now, this might be controversial, but the Deagle is ass. It is straight up cheeks. It is so bad. Its fire rate is super low. Its recoil is awful. That thing jumps up 10 feet every single time you fire one bullet. And its damage is just not good enough to signify. It does 80 damage a headshot, but the AK does 50 damage a headshot, and it fires way faster with less recoil. So there's no reason to ever bring this gun. It is just abhorrent. I'll drop it an F tier. I think it should honestly go lower, maybe its own tier, but it's just so bad. I would never rock this gun in a million years. With that out of the way, we're gonna move on to the SMGs, starting with the BX4. This is the CX8 in other games, but compared to the other SMGs in this game, it's just not that good. It's got a low fire rate compared to them, and its range is also not good since it's an SMG. And its damage is just, it's an SMG, so you're not going to be doing much. You really want that fire rate. So it's also kind of mid. I'm going to give it a C tier. Next, I'll be talking about the Scorpion Evo. The Scorpion Evo is honestly pretty good for if you could just land off drop and find one of these, you're going to be kind of dominating in close quarters. It's really good. Its fire rate is good. Its range is pretty decent. It's easy to reload. You can put a ton of attachments on there. Overall, just not that bad. I'm going to drop this. I'll give it a B tier. Very, very solid gun. But is it better than the next gun I'm talking about? The Vector. Now, these are the only two SMGs that I think are even a contest of each other. And the Vector, I feel like, is better if you have attachments on it. But if you don't, its recoil is just not that good, and its range is not that good. So if you can get attachments on the Vector, it's really, really good. But when you don't, it's not. So I'm gonna rank it around the same as the Evo with a B tier. Maybe a little bit lower since you need attachments on it for it to be really good. But once you get those attachments on there, it's a beast. So yeah, I'll give it a B tier. Next down is the shotguns. So the shotguns used to be way more powerful than they are now, but they got nerfed. So they're not gonna rank as high as most people think they would. But the Lockwood is still pretty decent. It can two-shot at pretty far ranges, I think up to 25 meters, even if you have 2 plates in. So it's pretty decent, but it's if you miss those 2 shots, then you're just screwed, because it takes too long to reload if somebody's just emptying rounds. It's just not good. So I'll rank it maybe a high C tier, low B tier, but it's not as good as a lot of people think it is. Next up, we have the Saiga, or what's called in the game the Flame 12 for some reason. And this one is just a better Lockwood. It does less damage, but it honestly has more range, more attachment slots, and it's semi-automatic with 8 rounds in it. It's really, really good. You can replace assault rifles at some distances, and before patch it was a beast, but as of right now, it's decent. I would give it an A tier. Alright, now into the bread and butter. Assault rifles. Now, these are going to be the best weapons in the game, I think, by far. Just because their range and damage are just medium class, and they're just overall really good and solid. But we'll start it out with the AKM. The AKM is by far the best assault rifle in my opinion. It's got less attachment slots and its recoil is pretty high. So if you can't control that, then it might not be a good fit for you. But its damage is crazy. It does like 30 damage a body shot and like 50 a headshot. So if you can hit some headshots on that and hit long range, which is pretty good at, you could just spray and melt their health. It's so good. I'll give this hell an S tier. It's really that good. I think it's the best gun in the game right now. Next up is the AK Alpha. Now, a lot of people think this is better than the AKM, but it's better if you can't control recoil. With a bunch of attachment slots, you can get it to basically no recoil and make it like beam at long ranges. But its damage, I just don't think holds up to the AKM. And, I mean, it's solid. I'd give it around an A tier. Good damage, good fire rate, and all that. If it's what you see, I would grab it. It's really decent. And depending on what you play like, it might be the best fit for you. Right after that, we've got the R416, or the H&K's 416. I don't really know. These names are all weird. It's got the highest fire rate, in my opinion, I think so, out of all the assault rifles. So if you like hitting beams, and its recoil is not that bad, it's pretty good. If you don't like the AK, this is probably what I would recommend using. It's got a ton of attachment slots, and you can make it almost any gun you really want at a ton of ranges. So I would give this an S tier as well. It's really good. Not as good as the AK, in my opinion, but it's really good. Finally, for the assault rifles, we have the XM5, or the Honey Badger. And this gun, I would say, is pretty good. Some people would rank it higher than the AKM. Not me, though. You can only find it in airdrops, I believe. I think that's the only way you can find it. Its attachment slots are a little limited, because you can't switch out the barrel. It's built-in suppressed. But it's good. I would rate it over the R416, but the fact that you have to go to maybe a contested airdrop to find it, it ranks it a little bit lower to me. I'd give it like an A tier. Closing out, we'll end with the sniper rifles. The lowest I'll give them the RFB. It's the bullpup sniper rifle. It's overall just kind of mid. There's better bullpups. There's better semi-automatic sniper rifles than this, and it's overall just not that good. I'd rate it like a C tier. It's not that good. Next, we have the MK17. The MK17 is just a better version of the RFB, in my opinion. It's got more damage. Actually, I believe it's got more damage, but it's a better gun. More mag size. It's got more attachment slots with like the rail and all that. It's just better. I'd give this like a tier higher. Like maybe a B tier. Finally, we have the M1A. It's the like MK14 kind of looking semi-auto rifle, and I would say this is the best out of the semi-auto ones. It's got good damage, good range, good fire rate if you can hit that trigger fast enough. And I don't know, there's nothing I can really complain about it. I'd give it maybe A tier, or maybe like just high B tier, low A tier. It's alright. I would run it sometimes, but not all the times. Finally, onto the bread and butter of the sniper rifles, the bolt actions. The one I'll start with is the Kar 98K. This is just a worse version of the other bolt action sniper rifles, so I'll give it like a C tier, like a high C tier, low B tier. It's alright. It's the worst at what it does, and I would rather just take a semi-auto than this. So I don't know, not that great. Up next is the AWM, or the AWP, I guess I don't really know. So it's the one with the bipod that's like all green. This one, I think is the best of the bolt actions. It does a lot of damage. It's easy to pull back the bolt. Its range is really good. You can customize it quite a bit with like lasers and barrel attachments. I don't know, I would give this S tier along with the AKM. It's overall pretty good. If you want a sniper, it's easy to find, and it's just overall really solid. I can't complain about it. And ending up the snipers in the whole tier list is the M700 Intervention. This is the only sniper that can one-shot through 3 plates if you had a headshot. So with that, it's gotta be S tier, but I think it would be lower than the other 2 ones just because of how hard it is to find compared to them. But once you do get it, it is a beast. The only problem I do have with it is you can't put a suppressor or a compensator on that. It's other than that, it's a really good gun. I'd give it an S tier. That concludes the tier list. I hope you liked it. If you have any thoughts about it or what would you do different, I'd write that down in the comments. You might notice, like, kind of raspy. That's because I'm sick. So I might not post as much, but I really just wanted to get this video out. If you could leave a like, this is gonna take me a long time to edit, and, I had a lot of fun making this. So if you can give it a like and maybe subscribe, that would be very much appreciated. But, you know, that's all I got. See ya. My broke ass.